Okay, so for lesson 4, we're going to be only doing two consonants, two new consonants, and two new vowels. So we are going to be learning tet and yod. So tet, there's two different consonants that have this sound, but kind of like with all of the other ones, it begins with that letter. So this tet is going to be the t sound. And then we have yod, which is the y sound. So yod is one of the more confusing ones because sometimes it acts just as a consonant and sometimes it acts as a vowel companion. As we take a look at those, tet is kind of a harder one to memorize because it doesn't really look like anything that we're familiar with. So some people call it a teapot, and some people call it, try to remember it because it has that curly tail up at the top. So the teapot is in reference to tet and mem. They're very similar, but one of them has the opening up at the top, so it's like a teapot that can hold water, and the mem is an upside down one, so all of the it wouldn't be able to hold the milk inside, and so we uh, kind of distinguish them in those two different ways. But whatever you use to remember tet, you can either use teapot or tail, whichever works best for you. In the beginning biblical Hebrew book, it references as the tail. And then yod is just a very small little kind of apostrophe looking thing. And so it's up at the top of the baseline there. And it looks like a yawn, which is kind of a stretch, but since we're using alliteration, that's what we're going for there. So if we're writing it with a ballpoint pen, a tet is going to be just kind of uh, an upwards box with that tail coming in on the right-hand side there. And then the yod is going to be just a little tiny 90-degree angle up at the top of your line. In calligraphy, the tet, we're going to start with that swooping tail, come across the base with a nice thick line, and come back up the left-hand side and put that little top hat on it. Yod is just a very simple little calligraphy mark there, starting at the top and kind of working your way to the bottom with a little swoosh. And then today we are going to learn these two vowels. Now these ones are a little bit different than the previous sets that we've learned. These two make the exact same sound. Even in the ancient Sephardic, nobody distinguished the different sounds from these, but for some reason, there is a companion to Sagol as well. So Sagol is represented by a triangle of 3 dots there underneath any consonant, and it can also be a Sagol Malay with that yod. So whichever one you would like to use, when we get into grammar, we'll understand that yod acting as a lengthener of the sound. So both of them are going to be pronounced as in egg. So we typically, when we transliterate it, we put it as that EH, as in egg. So let me just come back to, I thought I had my whole vowel chart in between there, but I guess I don't. So to review our vowels, we have patach and kamatz, which are that ah sound. We have hirik and hirik yod, which is that single dot underneath the consonant, which makes the e sound. We have tsere, which is the double dot. And then we have sagol, which is a triple dot. So we're just kind of adding those in there. So e, a, eh are our kind of e sounds for now. All right, so let's practice our alphabet song. Now that I'm in a new workplace, I've got the door closed, but I'm going to be singing Hebrew here. All right, so these are the ones that we should know so far. And so just going to practice singing these through. If you want to sing along, feel free to, but so I'm going to go through it once, and then we'll come back through and do kind of the repeated there. But Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, and then Yod. We're starting a new stanza there, but so let's do it as a repeat. So I'll do the first triad, and then you repeat back the same thing. So Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yod, Chaf, Kaf. So next week we'll be doing Haf and Kaf. That'll be pretty much our whole lesson is on those, because there's quite a few different variations and things. But anyway, that alphabet song should start rolling off the tongue here with these first few letters. Keep practicing it until you do. Again, on Learning Zion, there is the notation or the audio, the visuals, to be practicing that. So next week, hopefully, I won't be necessarily in this same situation, that we can go full on and sing the alphabet song at the beginning of each class from here on out, and get really good at that. Oh, there's where my slides went. I had them afterwards. So let's get some practice reading this. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves, I get that if you don't want to, that's totally fine. But if you want to try reading one of these lines and seeing if you can make out the sounds. So this is, as we read through it, it'll be English words, but kind of composed into like a little weird story. So let me do the first line, and then we can kind of see if anybody wants to do the others. So here we have be, t, Betty, date, z, dates, zeb, zeb. So Betty dates Zeb. So take a look at that second line, and if anybody wants to give it a try, let me know. So that first one, it doesn't have the vowel underneath of it. It's kind of my best way to fudge a little bit, since we don't have some of the letters yet. So Betty dates Zeb. Whoops. But Zeb got debt. So we're already off to a good start, right? This is a silly little story. So Desi gave Betty a teddy. So we haven't learned anything for like bear yet, so I didn't include the bear. But anyway, Desi gave Betty a teddy. So what's the outcome of the story? Betty, I should have put a Zayn at the end of this one, but Betty date Desi. So Betty dates Zeb, but since Zeb's got debt and Desi gave Betty a teddy, now Betty is dating Desi. So it's kind of a silly little story, but anyone want to try to take a crack at this one? So this is another little silly one, but with the sounds that we know, we kind of have a limited vocab that we can work with. So take a look at those. I'll give you a second on each line so that you can Practice them. So Teague teased Todd. Todd got hot. Todd hates Teague's TV. TV dead. So they got into an argument, and Todd got his revenge on Teague's TV.
You're going a lot faster than I can do it. I can
Oh,
figure those out, but you're just too speedy.
okay. Well, anyway, I'll have these slides on there as well, and on the Learning Zion later on today, so that you can take a look at those. But yeah, last week anyway, I promised one thing and can't put it on there. But anyway, I still haven't got the worksheets on from last week. I'm working on those, working on this week's. They'll get on there, but yeah, we should have just probably canceled for Pioneer Day. But let's take a look at a couple different syllable divisions here. So these are going to be real Hebrew words, but can you determine why I placed the syllable marker or divider where I did? So we had the C's and V's to represent consonants and vowels. So here we've got a consonant and a vowel, and then a separator. So we've got an open consonant, and then we've got a closed consonant because this one has a consonant, vowel, consonant. And so the accent's going to go on the second. So how would this word be pronounced? So this is why syllable knowledge or structure, being able to divide them properly, comes in really handy so that we can know where to put that accent. So this one is going to be a have. So that instead of ahav, that accent is going to be on the last syllable because it follows the proper, it's not one of the exceptions. Ahav. Now this one's just a simple one syllable word, but it's a closed syllable because it has a consonant, vowel, consonant. And so we're going to put that accent just right at the beginning. So gag, gag. All right, and this is like one of those long stringed out or strung out words. I don't expect anyone to know this yet. I just copied it from I just copied and pasted a word out of the Tanakh. But take a look at this, and why is the syllable division where it's at? Because it kind of throws you off a little bit here. So at the beginning of the word, we have a vav, and we may or may not have memorized that totally yet, but when we have a vav at the beginning of a word, it's a conjunction. So it means and that and is going to be connected with that word. The vav can take a couple different vowels. It usually has a shavah, which we haven't learned yet, or it can have this dagesh in the middle of it. It can have a patach or a kamatz under it. There's a few different variations, which we'll learn about a little bit later. So anyway, this is basically acting as an open consonant. So we've got a vav and a vowel. And then we've got a closed consonant here. So syllable, consonant, vowel, consonant. We haven't learned a lot of these letters yet, but basically all of these dots here we're going to ignore them for now. So we've just got a consonant, vowel, consonant. And then here we have another consonant, vowel, consonant. And here the last syllable, consonant, vowel, consonant. And so we have open, closed, closed, closed for our syllable structure. And so the accent, it's a normal one. So the stress is going to be on the last syllable. And I believe that's all of my examples that I got put together this morning before I had to fly out the door. So I'm going to come up with a huge list of these so that you can get practice. Instead of using the C's and V's, they're going to be actual letters and ones that we actually know so far, so that you can take a look at those and start dividing the syllables out. But is there any questions on syllable division or anyway, like these four rules or the steps that go along with those that you would like me to explain? We can go back to last week's slides and things to get examples if you'd like. If not, today I really wanted to go over vocab. So we have 2 weeks of some vocab cards under our belt, but just really like to drill on those, take a look and get these more committed to memory. So let's see. Where is my slides? I'm working on a different computer setup and everything's in a little bit different space. Just 1 second. Okay, so over on Quizlet, let's go through these vocab cards. So we've got Beginning Biblical Hebrew Lesson 2 vocab, and we're going to pull up these flashcards real quick. All right, so let's practice pronouncing that word. So that middle one, the gimel, does not have the dagesh, and so it's kind of that one of those harder sounds. We've got ha, ra, haga, or sorry, haga, haga. And this one means to moan, mutter, or ponder. So we've got these 13 different vocab cards here. And so we're going to go through them and go back and repeat them so that we try to commit these to memory. So if you'd like to write them down as we're doing it, feel more than welcome to. Hurrah, hurrah. So how can we memorize that word? It kind of sounds like a moan or a mutter. Hurrah. It causes one to moan or mutter anyway. All right, our next word. Ava. Ava. So why wouldn't we pronounce this one Ava? Because it follows its normal, because there's not an accent above any of the letters. And so we're separating out those syllables and putting the stress over the last syllable. Ava. Ava. Ava means to be willing, to wait, or to long for. All right, so here's this word, hara, hara, which means to moan, mutter, or ponder. Hara. And the one we just did, ava, to be willing, to wait, or to long for. So again, those two, hara, to moan, mutter, or ponder. Ava, to be willing, to wait, or to long for. All right, let's do a new one. E, E. E means coastland. E. Right, so going back to our first word, hara. Hara is to moan, mutter, or ponder. Ava means to be willing, to wait, or to long for. Iya is coastland. Right, a new word. We've got the plosive on the gimel, so we're going to go ga va. Now, this isn't something that we've learned yet, but this dagesh inside of the guttural, um, we're just going to pronounce it like a normal hey for now. Gava, gava. Now, again, why wouldn't we pronounce this one as gava? Because we need to separate our syllables here, and it doesn't have an accent on it. Motion detected lines. Freaks me out every once in a while. We're separating our syllables because we've got an open syllable and a closed syllable. And so the accent is going to go normally over the last syllable. Gava. Gava is to be high, exalted, or lofty. So I don't know. Everybody has different ways of memorizing words, right? But like g starts the same as like God, right? And God is high or lofty, exalted. Gava, gava. So let's go to our first word. Ra, ra. To moan, mutter, or ponder. So this one versus the one that we just did, gava, ra, is kind of the almost opposites, right? And so that gimel squeaks into the middle there, and it's the moaning sound. Ra, ava, ava, to be willing, to wait, or to long for. Iya, coastland. Gava, gava, to be high, exalted, or lofty. Right. Try practicing that one. So this first one has a dagesh. The second, Beged Kefetz, does not have a dagesh. It's a little bit trickier to pronounce. Da, ra, da, ra, da, ra. The ra is fish in the plural. So just dog is a singular fish, and da ra, that extra ah sound at the end, turns it into when we're talking about a group of fish or plural, kind of all the fish in the sea there. So our first word, hara, hara, to moan, mutter, or ponder. Ava, ava, to be willing, to wait, or long for. Iya, coastland. Gava, gava, so that g kind of as in God, he's high or exalted. And daga, daga is fish in the plural. Right. Oh, that's what I was afraid of. Because I had already started those sets. So let's restart. Go backwards this way. Okay, that's our first one. Okay, so here's our new word. Avad. Avad. So again, that syllable stress is going to happen on the last one. So avad. Avad. That dalet does not have a dagesh, and so it's going to be the tongue in between the teeth. Th, th, avad. Avad is to perish or be lost. So starting over, aga, haga, to moan, mutter, or ponder. Ava, Ava, to be willing, to wait for, or long for. Iya, coastland. Gava, to be high, exalted, or lofty. Daga is fish in the plural. And avad, avad is to perish or be lost. All right, a new word. Ah, ha, v, ahav, ahav. The accent on the last syllable there is to love. Now, this is one of the more common words. You definitely want to get this one down. Ahav. It can be used in a variety of different contexts in the Bible. Ahav. So the last word, avad, avad. Give you a second to remember the definition. Avad, to perish or be lost. And our new one, ahav, ahav, which is to love. So I'm just going to toggle back and forth between those two because they kind of are a little similar there. Avav, avav, to perish or be lost. Ahav, ahav, to love. Right, and here's our singular fish. Dag, dag, which is, I don't know, there's no better way to memorize that one than just picture dogs swimming in the ocean, right? Dog, catching a dog on your fishing pole. So the difference between a singular fish, and a plural, dag, daga, daga. We add that ah at the end. All right, going back one word, ahav, to love, ahav. So it ends with that V, both the English and the Hebrew, right? The V, ahav, love. And
Aaron,
yeah,
what was Hesed? It it has something to do with love, right?
it's loving kindness, but it requires a covenant. So it's
Oh,
a specific kind of love. So when there is um, it can be both a suzerainty covenant or a parity covenant, but there has to be a covenant and there has to be mutual love and respect for each other. So that chesed,
okay.
yeah. So this word avad, avad is to perish or be lost. And then kind of reviewing some of the previous ones. Haga, haga is to moan, mutter, or ponder. So if that gimel does not have a dagesh and it's in the middle of the two H's, it's kind of getting squeezed and it's moaning, it's muttering or pondering. Haga. I'm just trying to come up with lots of funny ways to memorize these. Ava, ava, to be willing, to wait or long for. Iya, coastland. Gava, gava. It kind of starts with that same letter as God, so to be high or exalted. Daga, daga. So that's fish in the plural. So let's get a new one here. For some reason, I can memorize this one. I don't even know why, but this one, we have two gimels, but only the first one is a plosive. So this is gag, gag. Gag means roof. I don't know why, but gag. It's kind of like God that's highly or exalted. When you're pointing upward, there's the roof. Gag.
So I thought it was like Gog and Magog, but they did these are too tricky. So how is that kind of Gog? Or do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand.
Okay.
But Gog is roof. Gag. All right, and here's the kind of tricky one. This is really hard for English speakers. This one is he. He in Hebrew means she, or sorry, just the opposite. Well, yeah, he in Hebrew means she in English. All right, and then a new word. We've got ba rav. Now this one's really hard because the first one is a plosive and the other two are fricatives. So we've got ba rav, barav, and it's to treat or deal faithlessly or treacherously. So it's basically if you're like a backstabber kind of a thing. So that's at least how I memorize it because backstabber starts with the same kind of sound. B, bagad, bagad, backstabber. It for some reason that's what helped me memorize it. Bagad, you're a backstabber. To deal with treacherously or to deal faithlessly. If you kind of turn your back on God or blame him for all of your things, bagad. All right, so to review some of these, he means she. Gar, gar means roof. Dag, dag is a fish in a singular. Ahav, ahav, love, ahav. Yeah, I don't know. There's not really a huge, great reason that I've got that one memorized, but ahav, avad, avad, to perish or be lost. These are kind of tricky because there's a lot of similar sounds as we're learning Hebrew here, and they're all in kind of hard combinations. All right, now this one, it has that gimel that's kind of getting squeezed from both sides of the hay, right? Ra, ra means to moan, mutter, or ponder. Getting squeezed and it just lets out a moan. Ava, ava, to be willing, to wait or long for. Iya, it's coastland. Gava, gava, to be high, exalted, or lofty. Daga, daga is fish in the plural. All right, then we got two more flashcards here. So we've got a very short vowel sound. When we see kind of these vertical dots, we'll learn about those in a while, but it shortens this patah. So here we have the word ha, ha. You're trying to do just a very short ah sound, ha. And this is kind of like a question mark almost. This one's probably not as essential to memorize, but I mean, you're going to see it a lot. But sometimes this flashcard just has a lot of gibberish on it. But it's kind of a question that requires a yes or no answer. Ha. All right, and then our last word here, we've got bath. Bath. So kind of sounds like the English bad, right? Bath. So is it good for man to be alone? No, it is not good for man to be alone. Bath means alone. Bath, alone. And so yeah, let's shuffle these. Well, I guess we'll start over, restart flashcards. Okay. So let's see if we can get these. Dag, dag,
Fish.
fish in the singular. Ava, ava, to be willing, to wait or long for. Ha, ha is an interrogative marker. So it's basically a question that requires a yes or no response.
We kind of have that, like we do, like if we're questioning something, we go, huh? It's
Yeah,
it's a little different, but that's what
yeah, that's a good
I'm
way to think of
associating that with.
it. And then the ra is fish in the plural. He is she. Barav, 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 to deal or treat faithlessly, treacherously. Bagav, backstabber. Bagav. Bava, or sorry, gava. Let's help if I teacher would put it right. Gava, g is to be high, exalted, or lofty. E is, whoops, coastland. Bath, bath is bath for man to be alone. Ahav, ahav, v, v, to love. Gag, gag means roof. Avav, avav, to perish or be lost. I still have trouble with that one. I can never remember what it is. Avav. Ra, ra, to moan, mutter, or ponder. All right, so how'd you do? Hopefully those are getting a little easier. Um, I would expect everyone to get probably a 6 or a 7 on that type of a quiz. But we'll keep reviewing them and getting them more under our belt. We're going to start having some more stories and things that are going to be using those words so that we can kind of recognize them from each other. But yeah, so to access those, again, if you'd like to, on learning Zion. Maybe. There we go. Come into the Hebrew study group. And so we just did the ones from lesson 2. So lesson 2, and I believe they're in the read section. Yes. So in the read section, down at the very bottom, so you can memorize the vocab using the Quizlet flashcards. So that will take you right to them, where you can go ahead and practice if you'd like to. So let's yeah, we've got some time. Let's do a quick test on these right here. Matching. So there's lots of different ways that you can set up your test. If you want to do all 13, or if you just want to do 5 at a time, kind of a thing. And then you're going to choose which side of the flashcard that you see at the beginning. If you want to do Hebrew to English or English to Hebrew, true or false, multiple choice kind of a thing. Let's just kind of accept the defaults and see what we got. So does gava mean to treat or deal faithlessly, treacherously? Gava. So is that answer true or false? Gava. Gava means to be high or exalted. So we're going to choose false. And then we have that definition right there. To be high, exalted, does that mean avad? Avad? Nope. So we're going to choose false. All right. So is he the interrogative marker, the yes or no question? No. So we're going to choose false on that one.
I actually know that one.
Yeah. That one's one of the easier ones. Yep. Yeah. We've got coastland, the interrogative marker, and the he is she kind of one. Those are the 3 that are simpler from this lesson. Huh? Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Avad, avad. Does that mean to perish or be lost? Avad
I don't know.
is true. At least I believe so. But we'll see here in a second. All right. To love. So it's going to give us 4 different options here. So to love, is it hara, hara, avad, avad, ava, ava, or ahav, ahav? So to love, it ends in that same v sound. It is ahav, to have love. Right, it's kind of a hard one to memorize, but that's what's fun about Hebrew.
Kind of sounds like to have, like to have and like, never mind. It
It
just
sounds
made
different in your
sense
brain.
in my head.
I do that all the time. Ahav, love.
What
Ahav.
I'm hearing in my head is from Princess Bride to
Oh yeah.
blave. That's what I hear in my head. So I've got to kind of, and I wouldn't put it past him to put a Hebrew word in there if he, I wouldn't
Yeah.
put it past him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So alone, as in, is it good for man to be alone? Do we remember what that one is? So remember that it's bad for man to be alone. So we're looking for bath, bath. To be willing, to wait, or to long for. This one's a tricky one. I always mess this one up. So let's rule out the ones that we for sure know it's not. To be willing, to wait, or to long for. We know it's not hara because that gimel stuck in between. It's moaning or muttering, right? And then we know that, let's see, gava means to be highly exalted. That g kind of sounds like God, highly exalted. So we know it's not those top two. So we have avad and ava.
I could, I don't know. I think it's
This one.
that one. Is it? No.
I can't actually remember. But we'll take a look and see. All right, roof. Is it dog or gog?
And Gog. I'm always going to remember that one now.
Yep. That's the trick, is trying to find something that you can like kind of latch onto to remember it, because these are very tricky because they're very similar kind of things. All right, fish in the plural. So a singular fish is dag. So fish plural, daga. All right. Oh, so we've got a matching one here. So fish singular. We've got these options. Dag would be our singular fish. Then we've got coastland.
I
Sorry
know
for all the
Coastland.
zooming.
It's the last one.
Yeah. To moan, mutter, or ponder. Haga. And then she is he. All right, so there's a couple there that I'm not sure if I got right or not, but we'll see. So we got one incorrect. All right, let's see which one it was. Okay, to be willing to wait or to long for is ava, not avav. Avav. So if you're waiting for something, it's got to be va, not vad. So you're willing, or you're waiting for that D to come, but it never does. I don't know. That's going to be a dumb way to memorize it. Ava. All right, and then let's switch over. So if we're just coming into the link as it shows up here, you can do a match as well. And so it's going to have the different words and the definitions, and you're dragging them on top of each other. So let's start with some of the easy ones. So the yes, no question particle is going to be the h. We've got coastland for the E. Let's do fish singular. Oh, right there, dog. Is that even big enough to see on your guys' screens? Probably not. It might transfer different. So the ga is fish. All right, and then let's take a look at these ones here. I'll blow it up. Okay, so we've got to love or to treat or deal faithlessly, treacherously. So bagad, bagad, and ahav, ahav.
Of is to love, right?
Yep, we have love. And then so that leaves this one. Gava or bagad, bagad. So there's different types of activities and things you can do here within the Quizlet, but
That'll be fun.
works for you guys. You can just go through them as simple flashcards. And also, I believe, Gava. My creepy voice there. Anyway, there's the little speaker icon up in the corner that you can have it read it back to you if you'd like. So let me get my thing here. My Zoom toolbar's in the way. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to learning Zion. So if you'd like to, for this week, review the vocab from lesson 2 and lesson 3. So let's go into lesson 3 here. And so for our last few minutes together, we're going to do some of the vocab cards from that one. Not to thoroughly fry our brain. We're just getting like a cursory look at those here in class. Let's come back to number 1 here. Zavach. Zavach. To sacrifice or slaughter. I don't know, for some reason I can memorize that one. So it's that z sound, and I don't know. You got that the cutting z, like, as if you're with a
Like
saw.
a saw. Yeah,
And
that's what I was doing.
so zavach, like, I mean, not to be graphic, but it helps you remember it, right? Zavach kind of thing. All right. Achaz. Achaz. To hold. That one's, I don't have that one down yet. Achaz. To have and to hold. To has and to hold. Achaz. We've got chaza. Chaza means to see or perceive. So I wonder if that's where it came from. Like huzzah. But once you see it, once you perceive it, chaza. Ava. Ava, to desire, want, or crave. And again, I'm just kind of going through these quickly, but you can go in your much more drawn out time and really get these memorized. But baza, baza, to despise or think lightly of. Bazaz, bazaz, to plunder or loot. Chava, chava, to hide or be hidden. So this is not to be, um, I think I pronounced that with the hey, didn't I? Anyway, this is chava, chava. So instead of hava, like hava nagila, this one is chava, chava, to hide or be hidden. Ach, does anyone remember this from last week? Ach, brothers. Ach. Zahav. Zahav is gold. Chav. Chav. That's a really hard one to pronounce because both of them are in the back of the throat kind of thing. But that is the feast or festivals. Um, Oftentimes you'll see this written out Hag Sameach or Hag Yom Tova, any of the feasts or festivals, Hag, Hag, or a high holy day can be that same word. Az, Az. Then, as, I don't know, you just try to substitute that one in until it gets cemented in the brain. Yay, aye, aye is where. Aye hapar, aye hakeves. Biza, biza, to plunder. Those bees come on in and they just plunder everything. Biza. And then we've got the thing that we talked about today is the conjunction and. V, v. So again, on Learning Zion, you can find the links to those, or if you sign up for the Quizlet itself, you can just get notifications anytime that there's new decks or reminders kind of a thing. But yeah, really work on vocab this week, and then adding those new two new consonants, tet and yod. Getting practice writing those out. Next time I'll have lots of different things for the worksheet to transliterating, going from English to Hebrew and Hebrew to English. I'll post those little weird stories that we had at the beginning of the class on there as well. You can practice kind of reading those out. But yeah, any questions or comments, concerns? This is kind of my wild week. Hopefully I get it together by Thursday class a little bit. Yeah, if not, we will see y'all next Monday. All right. Have a great week, everyone.